The Galactic Council should have known better. The rule wasn't just carved into databanks. It was practically etched across every star map and navigation relay from the Orion Arm to the far-edge dwarf galaxies. The first rule of the galaxy: don't attack the human children. But in their infinite arrogance, the Council forgot. Or ignored. Or assumed that Earth's youngest would be as helpless as any other species' offspring. That was their second mistake. Their first was thinking humans were just another species. It started on a field trip. 11-year-old Mira Jensen was visiting the Lunar Historical Museum with her class from Earth's North Pacific Academy. She was more interested in the snack bar than the exhibit on Martian dust farming, and she kept poking her best friend Ozzy, a gangly redhead with a talent for building explosive science projects. Everything was normal. Kids were hyper. Teachers were exhausted. Nobody noticed the flicker of distortion in the air until the sky above the museum cracked like broken glass. A low whirring hum escalated into a shriek as a Council enforcement vessel phased in mid-atmosphere, anti-grav thrusters vaporizing part of the museum roof. The adults screamed. Alarms blared. Drones scattered. Children froze. Except Mira. She blinked up at the descending craft with her chocolate-stained fingers still clutching a half-eaten protein bar and asked, "Is that part of the tour?" It wasn't. Within minutes, Council shock troopers, tall, armor-clad insectoids from the Skrull species, rappelled from the dropship like a bad vid-drama. Their orders were unclear to the humans, but they herded the children together using blasters set to stun and some kind of magnetic tethers. Several kids cried. One peed themselves. Mira narrowed her eyes and muttered, "Oh, they picked the wrong field trip." Half a solar system away, the signal from the attack pinged every human military relay, civilian watchtower, and emergency AI listening post. Protocol Zeta-1, Human Child Endangerment, was activated for the first time in nearly a century. Across the stars, old warships stirred, orbital cannons powered up, and long silent fleets began moving. But none of that would matter for the next 23 minutes, the average response time for Earth's defense forces. Which meant Mira and her class were on their own. Ozzy, crouched beside her behind a toppled snack kiosk, whispered, "I have 5 baking soda rockets, a solar igniter, and 3 compressed nitrogen canisters." "That's not enough, right?" "Not yet," Mira whispered back, eyes scanning their captors. "But we've got 2 vending machines, a robotic janitor, and about 30 kids who watched Survivor IO last semester." Ozzy grinned. "Oh, it's a group project." Mira nodded once, her gaze fierce. "Operation Chaos Muffin begins now." While the troopers argued in static-laced council speak about the delay in extraction protocols, Mira orchestrated a distraction. First, a group of kids started screaming about allergies. Real or not didn't matter. While the Skrull attempted to recalibrate their containment beams to scan for biological anomalies, Ozzy and 3 other kids began wiring the vending machines to overload using spare batteries and gum wrappers. Sparks flew. Smoke billowed. Then, the janitor bot, a rusting cylinder named Clank E, was reprogrammed by a girl from the robotics club to deliver trays of exploding cheese snacks directly under the troopers' exonees. The first blast sent one Skrull flipping into a souvenir display. Another tripped over spilled soda and crashed into a hollow projector, inadvertently activating a 20-foot-tall image of Abraham Lincoln, who promptly began reciting the Gettysburg Address at full volume. Panic spread among the troopers. Not because of the kids, yet, but because their comms started glitching. Mira had taken one of their dropped devices and was holding it upside down, mashing buttons while giggling maniacally. "Oops. I think I turned off their translation filter. Or maybe their helmets are all syncing to Taylor Swift now." Ozzy ducked as a blaster shot scorched the wall above. "We should probably run." Mira agreed, and with a quick whistle, the entire class scattered like they were in a live-action game of space tag. The troopers tried to follow, but between slippery floors, random booby traps, and an enraged janitor bot spraying lemon-scented foam into their sensors, they were hopelessly outmatched. From behind a shattered display of Martian agriculture tools, Mira peeked out and grinned. "We've got 20 minutes before backup arrives," she said. "Let's show the galaxy why the first rule exists." And somewhere, far out in deep space, a battlecruiser captain watched the footage coming through in horror. "Oh stars," she whispered, "they touched the kids. They actually touched the kids." The blast doors of the Lunar Historical Museum buckled inward with a screech, triggering an automatic lockdown that sealed Myra's class, and the dozen flailing Skrull troopers inside. The emergency lights flickered red as the fire suppression system kicked in, releasing thick mist through the halls. Visibility dropped. Screams echoed. And through it all, Myra's voice shouted, "Group 3, flank left. Don't let them herd you toward the gift shop. Remember the glitter mines." Ozzy skidded past a display of Martian terraforming equipment, holding a makeshift launcher made from a telescope tube and a spring-loaded prosthetic leg. "I've got 2 soda canisters left. Who needs fizzy doom?" One of the Skrull, blinded by citrus foam and startled by a Robo-Abraham Lincoln quoting 19th-century Earth politics, stumbled backward into a glass case. The case shattered, releasing a swarm of educational nanobots designed to simulate bacteria growth over time. Unfortunately for him, they now believed he was a living petri dish. His screams turned to static as he fled toward the stairwell. "Status update." Mira barked into the wrist comm she'd stolen from a downed trooper. "Group 1 reports successful control of the second floor," said Ellie, their class president, hiding behind a replica of the original Moon rover. "We're building barricades out of historical artifacts. Hope no one cares about the authenticity of the first flag planted on Mars." "Copy that," Mira replied. "Begin Project Freedom Juice." "Wait," said Ozzy, ducking under a flying tray. "What is Project?" Before he finished, the juice bar's containment unit exploded. Alien energy cells had been rerouted into the smoothie blenders, and now a tidal wave of glowing goop drenched half the atrium in sticky, strawberry-scented chaos. 3 Skrull were thrown clear into the corridor. One lost his blaster. Another screamed something in his native tongue that roughly translated to, "Why is everything sticky and burning?" Ozzy blinked at the disaster. "That was amazing." "Thanks," said Mira, covered head to toe in glowing pink sludge. "Also, we might have created a biochemical weapon. Not on purpose. Probably." The surviving Skrull regrouped near the central exhibit, where a fully restored landing module stood as a reminder of humanity's early space exploration. Their leader, Commander Thraxic, activated his translator and shouted, "You are children. This is a misunderstanding. Surrender, and no further educational facilities will be harmed." "We're not surrendering," Mira shouted back, "because you broke the rule." "Which rule?" Thraxic demanded, genuinely confused and slightly sticky. "The first one." Ozzy chimed in. "Don't touch the human kids." More children began to converge from all sides, some riding scooters, others pushing carts of combustibles, some even wielding display-only replicas of ancient Earth weapons. One had a laser pointer and an unnerving grin. Thraxic raised his arms to signal retreat, but the museum's AI security, recently hacked by Mira using voice commands and a cafeteria tablet, chose that moment to broadcast Earth's classic war anthem, "Highway to the Danger Zone." The children charged. The conflict escalated into what future historians would call the Battle of Lunar Field Trip. From an outside perspective, it was utter madness. Children using banana peels as tactical traps, science fair volcanoes as impromptu weapons, and one terrifying moment where a third grader threw a gerbil with a note attached saying "surrender or face the hamsters." Inside, Mira moved like a born commander, coordinating groups with preposterous code words. "Operation Glitter Bomb is live. Launch Fruit Cup Initiative. Remember, aim for the knees." As chaos swelled, Ozzy spotted a blinking terminal near the central console, an uplink to the Skrull command ship still in low orbit. "If I can patch through this and override their AI," he muttered, "we can stall their reinforcements." "Do it," Mira said, handing him a juice-soaked datapad. "You've got 5 minutes. I'll handle the rest." While Ozzy sprinted for the console, Mira faced Thraxic one-on-one. The Skrull commander pointed his plasma baton at her. "You're just a child." She stepped forward, chin raised, eyes bright. "And you're about to find out what that really means." Suddenly, the museum ceiling trembled. Through the smoke and fire mist, a deep, vibrating boom echoed across the dome. The children froze. The Skrull froze. Everyone looked up. And there, descending through the atmosphere like a flaming god of war, was the bunker-class human response frigate, HRS Ragnarok. Its message came through loud and clear, translated in every galactic tongue. "Emergency Protocol Zeta 1 initiated. Human child endangerment detected. Prepare for immediate consequences. Thraxic paled. Oh, no. Mira grinned. Oh, yes. You said. Thraxic didn't have time to issue a retreat order. The Ragnarok's drop pods screamed through the upper stratosphere like falling thunderbolts, carving plasma trails across the moon's sky. Each one hit with bone-rattling force, metal slamming into lunar rock and bouncing slightly before locking in place. The shockwave shattered the last of the museum's display cases, sending a rain of historical debris across the battlefield. The children ducked. The Skrull dove for cover. Mira stood still, chin high, arms crossed. When the first drop pod hissed open, steam curling from its edges, a massive silhouette emerged, clad in matte black power armor adorned with the Earth Defense Force insignia. Sergeant Major Tessa Ward. Call sign, Babysitter. Her voice boomed over external speakers. Which one of you miserable bug-eyed fossils thought laying hands on human kids was a good idea? Another pod cracked open. Then another. 10, 20, 50. Heavily armed soldiers poured out in silent, synchronized squads, fanning across the lunar surface with pulse rifles, riot shields, and facial expressions that promised unholy retribution. Mira, wide-eyed, whispered to Ozzy, "They sent the black nannies." He nodded solemnly. "We're officially the hottest topic on the galactic net." Inside the museum, the Skrull were cornered. Their containment field failed. Their comms were jammed. Their leader was outnumbered, outgunned, and outmaneuvered by elementary schoolers. Thraxic's mandibles twitched. We were conducting a sanctioned investigation. A misunderstanding." Tessa stepped forward, visor down, voice cold. "You beamed down armed soldiers into a school zone. You used force against children under Galactic Treaty 1 Alpha. And you did it on camera." She pointed to a school drone still hovering mid-air, still live-streaming to the entire Council sphere. Ozzy tapped the terminal he'd jacked. "Oh, by the way, this entire feed is now trending on 6 planets. The caption is, 'Bug monsters get schooled by preteens.'" The Skrull panicked. One tried to flee and got body-checked into a cotton candy machine by an EDF mech. Another activated a suicide protocol, but was disarmed by a 6-year-old wielding a yo-yo with disturbing accuracy. "Commander Thraxic," Tessa continued, "under Earth Jurisdictional Response Code Zeta-1, you are now officially classified as a Class T threat. Do you know what that means?" He didn't answer. Mira did. "T for toyed with." Tessa nodded. "You have one chance to surrender. Right now. Or we let the kids finish what they started." That finally broke him. Thraxic dropped his weapon, his 4 arms raised. "We yield. Full retreat. Diplomatic immunity." From the Ragnarok, Admiral Torres's voice crackled through loudspeakers, smug and amused. "Denied. You lost diplomatic status the moment you traumatized a class of 6th graders on a museum trip. Humanity reserves the right to spank back. Politely." The EDF troops rounded up the remaining Skrull, zip-tying limbs, scanning for bioweapons, and confiscating anything that looked remotely offensive. Mira sat on a broken museum bench, brushing strawberry goop off her shirt while her classmates high-fived, cheered, and showed off bruises like trophies. Ozzy approached, holding the still-glowing datapad. Small issue. I may have accessed the Skrull flagship's network to reroute their navigation. It was hilarious at the time. But what? Well, I think I accidentally told the flagship that Earth was sending cupcakes and diplomacy bots. So now it's on its way here. Full speed. With backup." Mira groaned. "Ozzy, I said it was funny at the time." From above, the Ragnarok scanners blinked red. More Council ships were warping into lunar orbit, none of them friendly. EDF Command started shouting in 6 languages. Defensive shields powered up. Targeting systems locked in. The kids were herded behind mobile barricades by towering soldiers who used the phrase, "cuddle cover," unironically. Mira stood, juice-stained and battle-weary, and looked out through a shattered window as starships filled the sky like thunderclouds. Tessa approached, kneeling beside her. "You've done enough, kid. Let us handle it now." "No," Mira said firmly. "You don't get it. They broke the rule. The one rule. The galaxy needs to remember why it exists. Tessa studied her for a long moment, then handed over a headset. Then make them remember. Mira took it, slipped it on, and stepped up to the emergency broadcast console. She tapped the mic, cleared her throat, and spoke 6 words that would echo across galactic history. This is Earth. You touched our kids. Outside, warships spun their guns toward the enemy. Inside, a dozen grubby schoolchildren raised fists, foam launchers, and glitter grenades in unified defiance. The next phase was about to begin.